Welcome, everyone, to Beyond the Brandywine,
where we wander, wonder, and occasionally get lost in Middle-earth. I'm Angela.
And I'm Kelsey. Beyond the Brandywine is a cozy, curious, and occasionally chaotic journey through the stories of Middle-earth.
Join us as we laugh over the odd bits of lore and follow tangents like hobbits chasing second breakfast. We're here to explore the places where the map fades and the questions get weird.
So, Angela, I've got another question for you.
I love it.
If the entire fellowship stayed together for, let's say, most or all of the journey to Mount Doom, have you ever thought about in what order they would potentially succumb to the ring?
As a matter of fact, I have.
Oh.
But so you mean like if they all pulled a Boromir at one point or another?
I mean, maybe not quite a Boromir, but yeah, like despite noble intentions, their best efforts, whatever, we all know that eventually pretty much no one can resist the power of the One Ring. I mean, it's the One Ring for a reason.
Yeah, I don't know though. I think the rest of the fellowship was pretty pure of heart. And I'm not really convinced that any of them would have succumbed and they would have all made it with Frodo.
Ooh, hot take. I would say that's very noble of you to think. Maybe it's a question of proximity to the ring versus being the one actually carrying it. If we look at what Tolkien said, I think in his letter 246, he writes, "At the last moment, the pressure of the ring would reach its maximum. Impossible, I should have said, for anyone to resist, especially after long possession, months of increasing torment, and when starved and exhausted."
Yeah, when thinking about this question, there's so many things that go into it. And what you said is definitely true. Like the ring only gets more tempting the closer to Mordor you get. So it would only get harder for the fellowship to stay together as it went on.
Yeah. And even if Frodo's the one carrying the ring all the way, if everybody's exhausted and everybody's worn out and everybody's feeling frustrated or hopeless, maybe there's more for the ring to potentially tempt with people. I think Tolkien says even in another letter, and I think this is letter 192, that the quest was bound to fail as a piece of a world plan. So no mortal will could destroy the ring by choice, and it required what Tolkien calls the other power, which is essentially divine providence or divine intervention. In the case of the story, working through Gollum at the very end.
Like where he tripped in.
Where he bites Frodo's finger and then falls in unintentionally to the lava. Yeah. So in a way, he's saying like Frodo got farther than anyone else, but no one would have ultimately succeeded. Like everybody would have given into the ring at the end if they had been in the same situation.
So if that's the case, it's just a matter of time for any of them. Or are there other things at play when it comes into giving into the ring?
That's a good question. I know when we were kicking around stuff for this episode, like what do you even think makes someone vulnerable to the ring? Is it just time and
You mean besides an overbearing father that puts a ton of pressure on you to save your city from evil, like with Boromir?
Yeah, I mean, poor Boromir again. We'll definitely get to him. But like besides that, there's obviously external pressures and things that the ring can exploit, but is it that you're close to it and you're an easy target? Is it that, you have an inherent desire for power that it wants to exploit? Or are you just a very powerful being and it's like, heck yeah, I want a new master? I think there's a couple things
that all kind of plays in, but it's almost like which one of those is going to be what makes a certain person fall.
Yeah.
Like each person's probably got their own top weaknesses, I guess.
Surface level weaknesses and deeper moral failings.
Right.
Yeah. Even if you want to use the ring, I think we'll talk about some of the characters. I think there's some of them we just don't have the textual evidence to even know if they would be interested in using the ring, but some it's very clear that they're like, nah, I'm not about that.
I'm so excited for this episode, though, because this is maybe going to be one of our more tangent-y episodes.
Tangents.
Tangent-y. It was such a fun few weeks, like, thinking about this question. And my order of the fellowship falling changed 10 times. I'm still not really happy with it.
Yeah, it's like one of those old-timey airplane boards with the flights going, and I'm just, like, changing the order.
Yeah.
And I think, for me, what really threw me off was trying to land on whether it's purely based on whatever factors we land on determining whether the ring goes after somebody, and is the ring an active participant, if you will? Like, is the ring actively targeting based on any of these criteria, or is it just a matter of proximity and location? And
is it like an even power being distributed, and then people are more or less susceptible, or is it extra going after somebody?
Yeah.
At one at a time, or
So I personally landed on, I think the ring would go after certain individuals more because of power and some other factors, where if it's going to hitch a ride with a new master or even someone until Sauron, like, it doesn't want the beat up Cadillac, it wants the Ferrari, right? So that to me played into the order of who would potentially fall to the ring, because I think I'm on team the ring would actively target certain members of the fellowship over others, assuming the ring has a choice.
Right. Which I am actually the opposite, and that I think it's equally sending out,
Temptation vibes.
temptation vibes, and then the most susceptible to those vibes would fall first.
Interesting.
But I think by your logic, so does it, like, Frodo is making his way to Mordor.
Yeah.
Does the ring not know that? Or is it thinking that Frodo is actually still not a faster vessel than if Boromir took it?
I think the ring could be operating under the same logic that they picked Frodo for, which is he's most likely to make it. So the ring thinks he's most likely to get him back to his master. Because if we go by Tolkien's logic and everybody's going to fail by the end, the ring's like, great, I want to hitch a ride with the person who's most likely to fail when I'm closest to
Oh, so the ring
Sauron.
wants to be with Frodo?
Maybe. I don't know.
Like,
Like,
why tempt Boromir?
because it's fun? Don't know. I don't know. I'm probably, like, my own logic is falling apart here, but potentially, I don't know what the ring's got going on. I think if the ring had a choice, it would pick men are easily corruptible, so goes with Boromir, causes a great war, knows the men are going to lose, gets picked up by its master. Right? It's doing
Right.
different endgame scenarios of how to get back to Sauron in most cases.
Right.
But not with Gandalf.
Because in that case, well, I guess it depends on if the ring wants to be eventually brought back to Sauron or if it just wants a powerful person. Because depending on which answer you pick, let's say it wants a more powerful person to attach to.
Yeah.
Then Gandalf. But then, and Gandalf might even be able to fight off Sauron. But
He would be a new
But if-
Sauron.
but if I just wanted somebody to get me back to my master the fastest, Pippin.
Pippin? Just get picked up by orcs and do it? I don't know. I mean, but Boromir is very intent on going to Gondor, so I think that's part of the ring's logic, because it's so close
Well,
to...
that's true.
Yeah.
He'll take it closer and definitely faster than
I don't know.
Frodo.
I'm anthropomorphizing the ring here.
I was
but-
thinking because Pippin, I mean, he already did get captured by orcs, so
Yeah, but he also takes on a whole troll at the end to save Aragorn. Are we talking early stage Pippin or like late stage Pippin? Because I think there's a difference in which Pippin is tempted by the ring.
that's also true.
Yeah.
Okay, so obviously for this episode, we're going to be arguing about the order of who succumbs to the ring
In the Fellowship.
in the
yeah.
Fellowship. So there's some stipulations, I guess, in the
Okay.
debating. So, like, we're assuming that Gandalf didn't fall in Moria and stays with the Fellowship,
I think so, yes.
and that the Fellowship does not break apart after Boromir dies.
Yes.
Like, Merry and Pippin didn't get captured. Everybody's staying together.
The
as a
original
group.
plan, which they hadn't really figured out, which is somehow we're all going to Mordor, ?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like some version of everybody being in proximity to the ring, helping Frodo take the ring to all the way to Mordor.
Yeah. So just from that alone, we're in completely
Yeah, none of
made-up
this actually
territory.
happened. None of this happened. But if it
But
did,
this will be fun.
But if it did, or even, again, like I said at the beginning, assuming that they stayed together for most of the way. So like maybe they do eventually break up at some point later on, but they, at least there's a chance for more people to be tempted and eventually fall to the ring than what we get in the actual text, which is Boromir dies,
Right.
Fellowship breaks up, and thankfully
And
it's
it's
just
really
Frodo
only
and Sam.
Sam. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love it. So,
Okay.
Well, obviously we know who's number one.
So I was like going to say, hit me, how we want to do this? You want to hit me with your list? We'll go through it, or are we just going to go in our order together and argue each point?
I think it might have to be that one.
Okay.
And maybe by the end, we'll either have
Swayed each other.
some kind of list together, or, yeah, this is why it was so hard, because there is no right answer.
There are no,
obviously.
well, there's only one right answer, and that's who would fall first.
Boromir.
Boromir. Immediately Boromir, which we know because that's what happens.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, real quick.
Yeah.
Because in the movie,
Mm.
when they're in Lothlorien,
Mhm.
and Galadriel, I think, is just saying this to Frodo. I'm trying to remember. Yeah, when he looks into the mirror.
Mhm.
She says, one by one, it will destroy them all.
Yes.
But actually, she doesn't say this line in the books at all.
Oh.
So it's only in the movies that she says, one by
Okay.
one, it will destroy them all.
Mm.
And so this is kind of where I started going into my, actually, nobody but Boromir would have fallen, because,
You're just going to ignore Galadriel's advice and be like, what are you talking about? No one's going to fall.
well, because in the book, she doesn't say it. Also, Boromir was the only one in the beginning that did not buy in to the plan of destroying the ring.
That's right. He's basically pitching we should use it at the Council of Elrond.
Yeah, like the whole
It is a
time he
gift.
was kind of like, I mean, I'll go along with it if you want, but
Yeah.
it didn't last very long for him
No.
that he stuck with that plan. So I feel like everybody else fully bought into it, and that's why I'm not totally convinced. But for the sake of this,
I think
we will
that the
discuss.
ring is just too evil that even with everybody buying into the plan, everybody trying their best, if they're around for most of the journey,
I mean, that's fair.
more of them are going to fall than what we get to see in the books.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So should we just recap some of the reasons why Boromir did fall?
Yeah. I mean, it's
Just sort of.
canon, right? He tried to take it from Frodo. He's got so many, he's so vulnerable. Like he's a classic. And again, why the ring went for him first or why he's first, I think Tolkien wanted to highlight the failings of men. Like men are weak.
Right.
Like if you're going to have somebody fall first to the ring in the group, it's going
It's got to
to
be a man.
It's got to be a man.
Sorry, man.
It's not sorry, man. And he's desperate to save Gondor, right? So he has this hook.
He's very
For the
desperate
ring.
to save Gondor. Like probably his whole life is
yeah.
pretty much fighting orcs and fighting against Mordor and the growing power over there, and lots of demands from his father. He's
A lot of pressure from his
a lot
dad.
of pressure.
And it's a classic, but no, I would use it for good, which is the ultimate. The ring's gotcha, man. If you think you can use something evil for good, which is also in reading Tolkien's thoughts and letters on this too, using something evil for a good purpose is one of his big no-nos. Like it's an ultimate sin to Tolkien. Like you do not,
Right.
It's evil. Don't touch it. It doesn't matter
Right.
if you think you could do better with it.
It's kind of like the means to an end thing, where it's like, no, it's actually just
No,
bad.
the means have to be good too, or it doesn't
Right.
count.
Yeah.
So Boromir's given up on that too. And I think, as you said, like even from the beginning, he's like, but it is a gift and we should use it and I can save the city. And why would we not use it against the Dark Lord? Everybody's like,
Yeah.
did you hear anything that the rest of the council said?
Yeah, right. Were you listening at all? I did just watch The Fellowship of the Ring again, and it was even more clear to me than even in the past how much Boromir really was pushing for the ring to go to Gondor the whole time.
They do play it up a bit, and I mean, it's there in his words in the
Well,
books
even
too.
from the council.
Yeah.
But then, like when Frodo does a tumble and the ring falls off
Oh, in the snow.
in the snow.
And they used the giant ring prop that was like the size of a...
Yeah, which I think is hilarious. But yeah, then he does give it back, but that was a pretty tense scene, actually.
That's one of my favorite early scenes in the movie where when they zoom out and you see that Aragorn had his hand like white-knuckled clenched on his sword, ready to take out Boromir.
I imagined this time during that scene, what if Boromir had just taken it right then? Like, everybody's going to have to fight Boromir all of a sudden.
I don't think he would have made it off the mountaintop, but...
Actually, that's a good point.
You got Gandalf still there.
Yeah, that's true. Oh, Boromir would not have left. Yeah. I don't know what if he would have taken anybody else down. But yeah, not with Gandalf there.
I don't think with Gandalf there. I mean, I don't know. It's a tragedy, right? Like he's not a bad person. He's under a lot of pressure. There's a little bit of his dad, Denethor's hopelessness in the sense that, like, he's, as you said, he's been fighting to save Gondor. He's on the winning end of the Empire. Yeah, they've got nothing, right? Like, they're losing to Mordor. They've given... Osgiliath is in ruins, the city that used to be the capital. They don't have a lot of people. Like, it's not looking good for Gondor. And that's his world. That's all he's seen. And he feels almost alone in the struggle.
Yeah, I was going to say something along those lines, that he feels like Gondor has been doing all the work. And it's like, how dare you guys want to throw away like the one tool that could actually help us? We've been doing all the work. You can't help us.
I mean, they are on the front lines compared to a lot of the other societies. Mordor's right
It's
there.
definitely
They're
true.
fighting every day. Like that's his life. So I get why he feels that way. But again, it's just it's those like little seeds for the ring to hook into so easily, being like, oh yeah, you feel like you're by yourself. No one's going to try to save you. I'm your only. I want to save Gondor and your whole family and restore. Like this is it, man. This is all you got. There's literally...
And Ring had a lot to work with.
Had a lot to work with Boromir. And to the ring's credit, that's a weird sentence. There's a quote from the text where like the ring would try and subvert even their very best intentions, as it did with both Boromir and Isildur before them. So like there's this thing in men where it doesn't matter how noble your intentions are, the ring can twist it if you let it. So maybe he didn't even stand a chance.
It kind of seems like he didn't. Especially rewatching the movie again. I'm like, that poor guy, he didn't stand a chance. They probably would have been better to refuse him even joining the Fellowship and pick somebody else. But
Denethor should have sent Faramir, right? Because that was the option.
Really, he would have been the better.
Because we know in the books, not in the movie, strong feelings. Faramir refuses the ring right away too, just like Aragorn.
Right.
So maybe he would have lasted. Anyway, it's a bunch of what ifs.
That's a whole other.
It's a whole nother thing. But like, yeah, men in general are more susceptible. That's why Boromir is the first to go.
Yeah.
And, he does get his redemption, but it's through self-sacrifice, which is not...
Poor Boromir.
I feel so bad for him. And Sean Bean did such an incredible job in the movie. It's kind of showing that horror and guilt in the moments where he finally like snaps back to himself after trying to take the ring from Frodo. And he's just like, oh my God, what have I done?
Right. I think they needed his character there.
Mm.
It just doesn't feel right to not have that perspective of showing somebody falling to the ring.
Otherwise, it would have been too perfect, right? I hate to say it, but like if nobody falls to the ring and the Fellowship just does its thing, which is why our scenario would never actually exist, because the ring's going to break things up.
That everybody actually stays together. I know. Maybe I'm just too idealistic.
Yeah. I mean, Boromir, tragic, sad, probably had to happen, and a really good illustration of noble intentions and men.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want those around the ring.
No.
So we agree.
I think in the Fellowship, like when they were forming it, like Boromir chose to be a part of the Fellowship. And I think a lot of it was volunteering. So did they even have a choice to like say, actually, you're too vulnerable, you shouldn't join? Or it's kind of
thanks, but no thanks. That would have been a really funny move at the council. Like, and you have my sword. Like, you know what? We want a different sword. Thank you. We'll take sword number 2.
Right? How about that guy?
How about that other guy? Like, hey,
oh, sorry.
Yeah, I'm getting not the best vibe. So let's thank you. Very noble. But yeah,
like,
no.
Now watching it, knowing what happens, I'm like, ooh, yeah, he was kind of going after that ring there.
It got its hooks in right away, right?
Yeah.
He came vulnerable and left vulnerable. Yeah.
But they had to trust him.
It is. Yeah. So we agree that Boromir.
Well, yeah,
because it's there. It happens.
It happened.
It's facts. But then who's next on your list in terms of most likely to fall to the ring?
So, okay.
Because I have a controversial choice, but I want to hear yours.
Well, because I don't know how controversial it actually is, because I'm kind of there with you, but because I happen to know what your next one is. But
spoilers.
I know. I haven't even said it yet. I'm still not totally sure about this next choice, but I personally have Pippin.
Commit. Tell me why.
Not because he desires power or even that the ring wants him to be chosen, but his dang curiosity that has been a thing throughout the entire series of books where he just can't keep his hands off of things and keeps kind of causing trouble. So I had him as the inevitable next one that, like, next to that much power, he would have just been too curious and would want to hold it for a second. Not that he probably would even give it back, but I feel like he would be the next tempted one.
Wouldn't be able to give it back.
He wouldn't be able to withstand the pressure.
But is he that curious? I think there's a part where Mary scolds him about, I think it's later on, I think it's when they're in Fangorn after they escape from the orcs in the 2 towers. And Pippin's like, where are we? And Mary's like, did you not look at any of the maps when we were in Rivendell, man? Like, do you even know why we're here,
no,
bro?
Mary scolds him, a
couple times. So, like, there's a part of me, I hear what you're saying. There's a part of me that's like, would Pippin even know enough about how bad the ring is to be that curious? Or he's just like, yeah, Frodo's got the thing. I want to go see whatever shiny objects we come across. Like, where he's just written it off almost.
I feel like if it's as they got closer to Mordor, and I don't know how close exactly, but like with the Palantir, Gandalf didn't really tell him much about it. It was just kind of like, hey, give me that back. So he didn't really know what the Palantir was.
But he was like, hey, don't touch that. So there was like immediately that childish, what do you mean I can't touch that? I want to see what it is. What is it? But that doesn't happen with the ring, right?
It doesn't seem to. But then again, if the Fellowship is together and there's... just without Boromir there.
True. Yeah, everybody but we should classify. The Fellowship stays together minus Boromir, because that happens probably no matter what.
Well, he was still first, I think. But then let's say they all stayed together. I could see Pippin being the next one. Maybe in a time when like things aren't too serious yet. There maybe isn't a lot going on, and maybe they're in the Emmanuel or something, and it's just like boring curiosity.
Maybe. Yeah,
it's like the ring is just kind of like pulsing at him, and he's like,
interesting. Well, I can't. If he's around for that long and he sees Frodo acting up, he's going to be like, why are you acting so strange, bro?
Maybe he even wants to help.
Maybe.
So some of the other reasons that I had besides his curiosity, in the books, he is Shire nobility.
Yeah.
So there might even have been some sense of duty maybe involved.
He's barely out of his teenage years.
Here's the one I really think.
Okay.
Because this is true in the books, and I think a little bit in the movies. I forget if he actually says this, but he's feeling really insecure around Gandalf especially,
Mhm.
just feeling like he's being dragged around and not of any use. And so I could see if he's still feeling like that later on. And maybe there's a situation where like he feels like he can help in some way, that he could feel like he could finally prove his worth. I feel like that would be, if I was the ring, that's the insecurity that I would play up, is that you're worthless. You're just getting dragged around Middle Earth.
What are you even doing here?
There's no purpose. Why, you're serving no purpose. But
With
you
me.
could help. Yeah.
With me, you have
Exactly.
purpose. Yeah, finally, instead of Captain Faramir, shoulder,
Captain Pippin.
Captain Pippin.
Yeah.
Has shown his quality.
That would be what I'd play up if I was the ring.
No, I like that. I think, I struggle with the same thing. Like, I think my order changed so many times. I have Pippin later on, and it's mostly because I don't think the ring is that interested in Pippin. I think as an opportunity comes, or Gandalf's rejected the ring and the ring's tired of Frodo and it just wants an easy, like, maybe. But I think, assuming, like, again, Team Kelsey is the ring has agency and is like targeting things that'll be more powerful.
Mm-hmm.
It'll get to Pippin. I just don't think it'll get to Pippin if it has other choices, potentially.
I'd love to hear your next one.
My next one?
Yeah. So this would be after Boromir.
After Boromir. So, like, we're doing most likely to fall to least likely to fall, 9 to 1. Number 8 for me, I put Gandalf.
Yeah.
And it's controversial, I know, but I think it's because he knows he would fall, and he says as much.
Let me just say that Gandalf was my next one down.
Okay.
And so we can maybe talk about him together.
Yeah, let's do it.
Because I do feel like he's either next, like, after Boromir or after Pippin.
Yeah.
But he's definitely an early
up there.
one.
Yeah, he's an early one for sure. And I think, again, my logic is he's a Maya.
Right.
Like, the ring is like, there is so much power here to corrupt. I cannot wait. And it's as are more powerful than Sauron. And Tolkien even said, like, in the books or in one of his letters, that if Gandalf had taken the ring, he would eventually become, and I quote here, a far worse tyrant than Sauron, because he would be corrupted by pity and the desire to do good.
Mm-hmm.
And somehow, like, having that inherent wish to do good makes it even worse.
I could see it almost snowballing, where if he saw that maybe his other action did something bad, he'd try to, like, fix it, make it worse, and it would, like, keep snowballing or something.
Maybe. Like, the ring has so much to work with in him, and he knows. He's like, I know I would become a Dark Lord. Frodo offers him the ring, and he's like, don't even tempt me. Like, he's like a visceral reaction. Like, he knows that's
why he's early to me, is because of his really strong reaction to Frodo offering the ring. Like, he knows it would be bad, and it makes me think that he knows he's vulnerable to it. Like, he can't even touch that thing or even be at all offered it. Maybe even near it very long.
Well, that's also why I think, because if he's that uncomfortable, when Frodo's like, here, take it from me, and he's like, no, like, immediately no. If he's going to be around it for longer than we see in the books, again, assuming he doesn't fall, or like maybe he has a near-death experience, and the thing with the Balrog rattles him, and now he's like, well, should I take the ring? Like, what other forces are we up against? He knows, and this is why I think the ring is targeting individual. Like, he knows he's a prime target. He knows he's exactly what the ring wants, and that scares him so badly that if he's going to be around it for so long, I think the ring would be like, Boromir's out of the way? Great, I'm going for the Maya.
Even if you stick with my theory that the ring is putting out equal vibes to everybody, as the quest goes along. Granted, I know that the story would change if they were all together, but Gandalf starts getting really stressed towards the end, when so much is coming to a head, that I think that being under so much more stress, as it kind of gets more dire, it would put him under a lot more pressure to use the ring, and then he would succumb.
Yeah, I think one of the things that I struggled with Gandalf is I was like, so he refuses the ring up front when Frodo's like, here, you take it. And he's like, no, don't even tempt me with it. But is refusing to be tested the same as passing the test? I think when Frodo also offers it to Galadriel, and she has her whole dialogue, and she's like, I could be beautiful and terrible in this wonderful scene. And she's like, you know what? I passed the test. I'm good. I don't want it. Gandalf never actually has that dialogue. He does a quick, like, no.
His is a reaction. Hers is like a measured, let me think about it.
Yes.
And no.
And we never see that with Gandalf, so we don't actually know if he would
That's why
truly
I feel
pass.
like he's actually very tempted.
Yeah.
I think.
I mean, look how quickly Saruman went, and he knew of the ring, and he's like immediately like, Team Sauron, let's do the thing. He didn't have to be in proximity to the ring, and he folds. So.
Right. No, I think Gandalf, he knows he's very susceptible and he wants to use it for good, but he knows he shouldn't. But yeah, how long will knowing he shouldn't last if he's around it?
Yeah. Like, it's interesting, right? It's self-awareness is some protection, but like, how much of that is actual resistance, or just like, you would be tempted given time and proximity, you're going to fall. So it's maybe he doesn't have the resistance he would like to think he have. And then I think, well, clearly being from the Valar doesn't protect you because Saruman folds real quick. And he was allegedly the head of the order. I think the other point that we talked about too was, again, we said we assume Gandalf doesn't fall in Moria, but say for whatever reason he does and comes back as Gandalf the White. Would Gandalf the White be as tempted as Gandalf the Grey?
Okay, my first instinct is that I think Gandalf the White would be more tempted. But I'm not super solid in that. And I'm trying to remember I think Gandalf the White, especially by the time he's the White, he's dealing with a lot more stuff. Gandalf the Grey, in a way, is a little bit more like inexperienced because he just hasn't been through his big test with the Balrog and stuff.
Yeah. Hasn't been regened by the Valar.
Yeah. He hasn't gone through that whole, whatever that process was. But
Respawn.
I think in a way he might have even been a little bit more wary and cautious as Gandalf the Grey. But what are your thoughts?
It's tough because we never see Gandalf the White anywhere near the ring. Like, Gandalf the White comes back. It's not like, so he's been rebooted. He gets sent back in a newish body. Yeah. And he's all like, we're gonna win this thing. I've got a plan. He's much more focused and targeted and less like, haha. Like, I think he has.
Does he even smoke pipe weed as Gandalf the White?
I don't know if we ever see. Well, we don't see him in the movies.
Yeah.
I'd have to go back to the book to see if he does. He seems less kind old man and very much like, we got to get stuff done.
And I think, does he really snap at Pippin more as Gandalf the White? But he is very just kind of like more matter of fact.
Yeah, he doesn't make as many jokes. He doesn't feel as casual, if you will.
Casual is a good word.
Yeah, he kind of scolds Pippin when he's taking him on the horse from Rohan to Gondor. And it's scarier in the books because they're getting chased by the Nazgul, like on wings.
Right.
But he's like, yeah, what did you think was going to happen when you looked at the Palantir, bro? Like,
right.
Yeah, we got to go all the way to Gondor. This is kind of your fault. But he scolds like that. He scolds him in the same way he did before, but it feels almost a little meaner. I don't know.
Yeah, but then he did reassure Pippin when he was acting insecure about being baggage.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like he's not only just a
maybe it was part
meaner,
of the reboot. He had to kind of like settle back into.
But he's a little bit more no nonsense at the same time.
He is, yeah. So I think.
Would that make him more or less vulnerable?
I think it would make him less vulnerable because the Valar in this case were like, no, we still need you. You're going back. You're going to make sure this thing happens to the best of your ability.
That's fair.
And I think because he's so focused on the task at hand, he's almost more like, I don't want to think about the ring.
Okay. I could go with that. Like if I can picture, so let's say Gandalf the Grey never fell to the Balrog and he was always Gandalf the Grey. If Gandalf the Grey was handling all the tasks that he was towards the end of the book, I think that Gandalf would have fell.
Yes. And this is completely me making things up, but I get a sense that Gandalf the Grey has a little bit more. He's willing to show more emotion and vulnerability than Gandalf the White. Yeah, whether or not Gandalf the White has it, maybe it's still there. He just doesn't show it on the surface as much. But the fact that there is that kind of emotional undercurrent that you get with Gandalf the Grey makes me feel that, again, assuming the ring is, trying to get its hooks into people, there's more for the ring to hook onto with Gandalf the Grey on the surface than there is with Gandalf the White.
That's fair.
Thanks for coming to my TED Talk.
Final thought on Gandalf for me. If Gandalf had to hold the ring for a second, for whatever reason, no matter how much he would want to give it back, I don't think he would. Like, if he had to touch it,
I think he'd be done. Yeah, donezo. One and done.
Lord Gandalf.
The Grey Lord Gandalf. Who you got next?
Okay.
This is where it gets interesting.
This is where it gets interesting because this character, I still am not happy with where he is, but I have Legolas next.
Really?
I do. And I struggled. I had him towards the end at the first, thinking like, oh, elves are more resistant. And I was like, actually, not necessarily.
So where you had Gandalf is actually where I had Aragorn. And then I had Pippin. So where you have Legolas is where I have Pippin. But talk to me about Legolas, and then we can jump back. We can jump back to my list.
Because you and I disagree on Aragorn a lot.
We do. We do.
So, I kind of threw Legolas in the middle here because he's such a wild card, I think. Because he is an elf that might have some resistance. But he does have some power in that he's the son of King Thranduil.
Yeah.
And I kind of kind of attached him onto Boromir having an overbearing father.
You're not
But
wrong.
He is from a kingdom, Mirkwood, that is under the constant threat of evil with Dol Guldur. So I was like, there's kind of some similarities there of pressures that his kingdom is under that might be a vulnerability. And I will say, so I kind of was skimming the books a little bit more and thinking about, like, listen, the movies, there's not a whole lot to go off of. If I just go off the movies, I'm like, Legolas is a pretty good guy. But when I think about book Legolas, he's kind of lamenting about stuff a lot.
He gets more of that elf, sorrowful, more than you would then comes across in the movies.
Like, even so, going into Lothlorien, he's like, if only we were here in the spring when the trees were blooming. And Aragorn's like, are you nuts? Like,
that's what you're worried about right now?
This is still the most beautiful wood ever. And it's beautiful even in the wintertime.
I don't know. I get Legolas's point because he's like, I'm only ever going to see this place once and I don't get to see it in peak. Dang it.
Yes, I agree. But also, he does lament about things quite a bit.
Complains a bit more. It's the little princey, the princeling coming through. Yeah, you're not wrong. Like, he's seen his kingdom fail and be under duress and under attack. His dad's kind of a jerk, up to interpretation, but his
How
dad's
much he's
not
actually
the
under
nicest.
pressure from his dad, I don't know, but I can imagine.
Well, I think he's under enough pressure that, because he came to the Council of Elrond just to be like, yo,
we lost Gollum.
Whoops. Like, I know you guys asked us to do one thing and we kind of failed at that. His plan wasn't to join up with the Fellowship. His plan was to be the bearer of bad news and hope they don't get in too much trouble. And I think part of him feels so bad about causing Gollum to be on the loose and all these things to happen. He's like, I might as well help. I think his intent is noble to join because he wants to almost right the wrongs of what they did. So I think there's less outward temptation than Boromir in terms of joining the Fellowship at the beginning, at least.
Okay. Yeah, I see what you're saying. But yeah, I see some vulnerabilities that he has that I put him actually, the way I numbered things, he's fourth for me. But
okay,
I put him there because I think he's somewhat vulnerable, but I still am not totally happy with where he is.
Okay. All right. No, so like he's a tricky one. Like, I don't think we have enough in the book. Like, you can kind of distill, all right, here's his background, here's his dad, here's the situation. We know elves are tempted by the rings. I mean, Galadriel's tempted, so it's not like they're invulnerable.
Yeah.
But we don't really have, like, I didn't
There's not
feel
a lot
like,
to go on.
And I, again, like, if I'm doing the ring is going after targets that are, like, juiciest, Legolas isn't at the top of my list if I'm the ring. So that's why I've got him a little bit farther down the list of who would fall. Who I do have is so we'll do your order in terms of numbers, like 1, 2, 3, likely to fall. So I had Boromir number 1.
Yep.
Gandalf number 2. I actually have Aragorn number 3, which is, I think, where you had Gandalf. And
tell me.
This is, I know. Again, couple things, right? So he's vulnerable because he's a man. And not only a man, he's the heir of Isildur, who we know did not get rid of the ring when given the chance. So, like, there's almost like a genetic failing, like pre-baked in, if you will. We know his family history weighs on him. We know that he's got that same desire to sort of prove himself worthy of all the burdens all the things he's supposed to live up to and restore Gondor. Like, not the immediacy we see with Boromir, but just the sense of, like, he's the last of his line. There's a lot of pressure on, like, don't mess this up. And also, like, he's got a lot to try to weighing on the decision to win. Like, he doesn't get to marry Arwen. Like, Elrond's basically said, unless you're the king of all of the kingdoms of men, you're not marrying my daughter. And I'm like, well, that's a lot of motivation right there.
That's
like,
true.
To win. And
that might be even what the ring pushes on him. Maybe not the most, but it's definitely an angle.
So I thought about that. Like, if I'm the ring and I'm going after Aragorn, you're going to lose Arwen.
Like,
that's a big,
not just everything, but
on the same side, like, I think his love for her kind of helps a little bit and keeps him grounded. And, like, I think love comes through in a couple of the lines, like Sam's love for Frodo and Frodo's love for the Shire and all these, his companions. Like, I think love can help, but I think about what the ring would kind of tempt him with. And I think the ring tempts him with, like, visions of using it to restore Gondor and protecting his people and basically everything that destroyed Isildur, because he's like, well, it worked with the first guy, so I'm going to use it on this one too. Aragorn does resist in the books and in the films, and he's, does the whole, I love it in the film where he kind of, like, curls up. He's very close to touching the ring and curls up Frodo's hand and said, I would have gone with you to the end, and kind of lets his hand and walks away.
That being said, if he had to actually hold the ring
Yeah.
himself, there's no way he's giving it back.
I think he's done. And that's why I think if Aragorn sees things going kind of haywire and sees how difficult and narrow this quest is to, how close it is to failing, and he gets more worried about Arwen
Can you imagine some kind of fight or battle and Frodo takes another tumble?
Yeah.
And the
Frodo
ring
almost dies for the third time.
Right, for another time. And the ring kind of like tumbles away and right in front of Aragorn, and it's like staring him in the face, and he's just like, oh God.
Yeah. Or what if it accidentally falls into his hand? Like it gets knocked out of Frodo. Like there are so many ways that could go south for him. And again, we don't get to see him being around the ring that much. We see him tempted. We see him pass. But again, if he's around the ring for another 3-4 months and things are getting really dire, would he pass it the second time? I don't know. Yeah. And Aragorn is a target of the ring. Some of these other people, like I think the Merrys and the Pippins and the Legolas and the Gimlis, like it has hooks, but it doesn't care as much.
That's fair.
I was like, I'm going for that. I'm going to make him fall twice now. Like just the joy in being able to corrupt the last heir of Isildur. Like that'd be such a win for Sauron in the ring. Like it's targeting him for a reason.
I'm just chuckling now because I can definitely see the two different ways that we've gone about our list.
Yeah.
Where the assumption is that you're going off of is power that they already have and vulnerabilities, and that the ring is targeting them.
Yes.
And mine is definitely like what I think their resistance to the just existing pull is.
Well, but like mine runs out because, so I have Aragorn and then I had Pippin as number 4 based on your numbering. And it's because I think it's run out of the interesting targets. So like Aragorn and Gandalf.
Now it's just going off the weak ones.
So now it's like, what do we got? Oh, we got Pippin. Like he's impulsive. He's curious. Like he'll probably get captured and get himself to orcs and get me back to my master. Like it's no longer going for necessarily a target that it could like almost replace Sauron. In this case, it's just like, what do we got to pick off at this point in time?
Mm-hmm.
So, and again, like if the other two have fallen, it's looking pretty grim for the rest of the fellowship
That's
at this
true.
point in time. So like, who knows? But like, again, all hypothetical. I think I agree with you on Pippin on the Palantir in terms of like, it shows that he's got that itch that can't be quelled. And
once he gets the itch, there's no turning it off for Pippin. Like he can't ignore it after that.
And he's young, right? Like, so he lacks life experience. He lacks maturity. He definitely lacks some of the reasoning we see with some older people who've seen a little bit more of the world or life or kind of understand the bigger picture a little bit better. Like he gets there throughout the book, but like early stage Pippin is very much not that. And he slowly gets there. But like, so here's my question for you. Like for Pippin, like if he took the ring, like what would he try to do with it? This is what I struggled with. Like is he merely a vessel for the ring to get back to Sauron? Or like say the ring wants to like wield its power through Pippin for a bit, like what is it tempting Pippin with? Because we know like Aragorn, it's Gondor and this, and Gandalf this, and Sam is like a giant guardian. But what is it with Pippin?
Well, that's a great question. And that's why I think I even said a little bit that I don't really think he takes it for any other reason besides the curiosity. And I do think he would give it back.
Interesting.
What pull really is there besides maybe wanting to prove himself? But that's not really big enough. I think he would feel so much guilt for seeing that he succumbed that I think he would give it back, to be honest with you.
I mean, that'd be a pretty big deal because we know from the text and from Tolkien's own writings outside of the books that the only person to ever voluntarily give up the ring ever was Bilbo. And that was a huge deal. And it took a lot of...
And he held it for 60 years.
Coercion on the part of Gandalf, right? Yeah, he held it for a long time and he was still able to give it up. So like maybe because it's a blip, Pippin might be able to kind of show some of that hobbit resistance.
Sam does hold it for a little while.
That's true.
And gives it back.
Okay, so Tolkien was wrong about his own thing because Sam also gives it up, but just not after a long period of time. So maybe that's why.
Yeah, so like Bilbo was impressive because he held it for so long and even used it and still gave it up.
And Sam does use it, but it's only like a couple days, a day. It's not very long.
Yeah, and he only took it because he thought he was still furthering the quest. And to be fair, I do think besides curiosity, Pippin, if the ring got into his vulnerabilities, I do feel like Pippin might try to help in some way.
Interesting.
So I'm not convinced that he wouldn't give it back.
I'm actually team, and you can crucify me for this if you will. I think Pippin, because he's so young and so impulsive, goes the Gollum route and turns into like a sneaky little prankster.
Oh, okay.
where
I could see that.
like the ring, maybe the ring, like that's not its like long-term plan, but it's like, while we're here, and like you see him like
He
playing
is.
pranks and doing things and messing around
I
with
mean,
Mary.
that is who he was
right?
early before.
Pippin. Like
early
I
Pippin,
think
yeah.
I think that would like it would still lead to his capture by Sauron the way things are going and
Right,
that
right.
trajectory. But I think with Pippin we would get a little more of the Gollum sneaky
Okay.
prankster vibe just
Okay.
because it,
I like that
it's
idea.
a little bit of the Hobbit, a little bit of the impulsiveness and yeah.
Because I don't know if he really starts feeling like, just those feelings of wanting to do more to help until later, like in the third book.
Yeah, early on, I don't think he's got any of that. He's just kind of like, I'm here. What am I doing?
Right.
I'm here with my cousins. Like,
It's like, hee, I'm gonna.
yeah, I'm gonna go play a prank on good old Frodo and Sam. And I'm gonna mess with Gandalf and maybe, right?
Yeah,
that's at least.
But
right.
yeah, I just don't see him having any evil besides pranks, I guess.
Interesting. Okay.
So what number?
So this is the first four, basically.
Okay, so that's our first four.
So then the next one for you.
I have after Legolas for me is Mary.
We tied. I have Mary too.
Yeah.
Hey, we like Mary's in the middle.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, and it's because Mary wouldn't fall early.
No,
he's a wiser hobbit.
He's got his stuff a little bit more together than Pippin for sure.
Yeah, but he's also nobility, so he's got a little bit of that in there, and he also has a little bit of the feeling like a tag along, but maybe not as much as Pippin. Like
he's a little bit more aware of his purpose at least. Like,
yeah, but like with Theoden, he does get left behind.
Yeah.
And he has that kind of dejected, like
you can't ride a horse.
Yeah, you can't ride a horse and nobody wants to carry
the horse country.
Right. But so that's kind of fair. But at the same time, he's like, hey, I'm part of this war too. Like, I want to help out.
Yeah.
And so there might be a little bit of that wanting to prove himself in there, I think.
Yeah, I think there's a little bit more of that. I think he's definitely organized and a little bit more aware and educated. Like, I think there's a sense of like order because he organizes the whole quote unquote conspiracy to like when Frodo's trying to leave.
He's got some forethought and planning.
He's got some forethought and planning. He's studied. He understands politics and war a little bit more than like I would say Sam or well maybe not Sam but Pippin for sure. I would say he's like there's a little bit more edge in terms of his corruptibility like compared to the other hobbits Frodo and Sam because he's got a better sense of like I could use the ring to fix things or I could use the ring to do this or protect the Shire. Like he definitely understands more of what's at stake than Pippin.
Yeah,
but
which I think would help him.
Yeah,
for a little while.
Yeah,
but
his resistance, like his loyalty and his understanding will help him. But maybe the ring would play to that sort of strategic side of things. Like I struggled with Mary, which is why maybe you did too. That's why I put him in the middle because I'm like I don't know. And then I sort of asked myself that same question, like if I were the ring through Mary, like what is the vision I'm presenting to Mary? Like what am I offering Mary? Like to save his friends perchance? Like
I feel like it would also be a for good, noble reason and not anything evil. And he might also I don't know if he would give it back. The thing is, I think Pippin
he would.
Pippin might give it back, but actually I think Mary has enough reasons that he would keep it.
Especially once he really, if it's got its hooked into him for protecting the Shire and his friends, I think like that's kind of his doom
He'd be like, he has enough confidence in himself that he would feel like he can handle the ring.
Yeah. And maybe that's the hook where like he knows I've known enough, I'm studied enough, I understand the risk, kind of what I'm getting myself into, I'll still be okay. And you're definitely not okay. Right. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Cool.
We agree on one.
Yay. Okay. But the next one I had Legolas.
Okay. The next one I have Gimli.
Okay, so we're getting close. We're getting close. My next two are Legolas and Gimli.
Yeah. And at first I had them pretty close because they seem, I mean, they're friends.
Yeah.
Most of the books. So it seemed.
You sort of naturally associate them with each other.
Yeah. But I put Gimli later for a couple of reasons.
I have Gimli after Legolas too, but like they're not as separated as you have them.
Yeah. I wasn't sure how last to put him, but I ended up putting him as like number 6 because I think my later ones have stronger arguments. But yeah, so basically, and I think you may have even told me something that helped me put him later, is that Aragorn says that Aragorn, Gimli, and Frodo would be the last ones going all the way to Mordor. Was that?
Yeah, even Aragorn thinks that Gimli would be one of the group. So when they're making their like little plan.
Yeah, when does that happen?
So it happens, they're at the falls of Ralros. And I don't remember who asked Aragorn, but they're like, we got to do something. And like, we're leaving tomorrow. Like, what's the actual plan? Like, what did you and Gandalf talk about? And Aragorn's like, fun fact, Gandalf didn't tell me what the plan was.
Right.
But if I had to kind of figure out an order of things, here's how I would do it. And I'd be like, Boromir's going to Gondor and he can maybe take the hobbits and Legolas with him. And then I'm going to go to Mordor with like Frodo, Sam, and Gimli. So he thought Gimli was hardy enough to
make it all
to
the way.
make the rest of the journey potentially.
Yeah. And so that was part of what made me put him later.
Yeah.
But then like his cousin Dane was offered 3 rings by Sauron.
Yes, the 3 remaining dwarven rings that we know of. The 3 or 4.
And like his cousin refused multiple times.
Yeah, he's like, nah, I don't need that stuff.
And I guess dwarves in general, like they're just not really tempted by that kind of power. And even that the ring is like worth a lot, or it's like gold.
Yeah.
That stuff doesn't usually have any power over dwarves. So I think he's actually, like the dwarves, I think, are more resistant to the ring in general.
I would agree. That's why I have Legolas and then him. Like, I have Legolas for some of the same reasons you do. Like, I think he wants to prevent Mirkwood and the losses. And the reason I have Legolas a little bit farther down under Merry and Pippin, actually, is because the elves are leaving Middle-earth. And he always talks about the sea and wanting to leave and all this stuff. So, like, for me, his heart's not in it enough.
That's
despite the hooks of like his family and the pressure and like right the wrongs and fix the elves.
But they're leaving.
They're leaving. So I don't think his heart is in it enough for the ring to truly care. And he's not like a Galadriel. Let's be real. Like in terms of tiers of powerful elves, he's not
right.
He's not like a ring bearer elf. He's down the rung a little bit. So for me, like the ring could be tempted potentially because he is an elf,
right?
But I don't see the ring caring as much about him as opposed to the other ones, and he's not as easy pickings as maybe Merry and Pippin potentially. Again, we don't have a lot in the text to go off with Legolas. Like he's never tempted by the ring in anything that Tolkien wrote, but that's also because Tolkien didn't write anything about it.
Yeah, because that made me start second guessing my positioning of Legolas, because I kind of had him on the early side, but it's like, yeah, he never even acknowledges the ring through the whole thing.
Right, but like to be fair, that's also a choice of Tolkien, and that's why I have him farther down the list too, is Tolkien could have written a line somewhere about maybe Legolas thinking about it or being tempted, and he chose never to write that. So to me, that's like a strike on Legolas being pretty resistant. Also, like the ring doesn't care. Like it's not going after Legolas. But Gimli, who I had next, like absolutely agree. Dwarves are built different. Like Tolkien straight up says in the Silmarillion, and I think it's Appendix A of Lord of the Rings, dwarves are stone hard. They can't be turned into wraiths. The rings that Sauron gifted them makes them greedy, but like the rings literally cannot dominate their wills the way it does men and even potentially elves. So what's the ring going to do with Gimli? Like really, like maybe his desire to fix Moria?
Maybe, yeah.
And restore some dwarven kingdoms. But ultimately, again, assuming the ring is like slightly sentient, it knows it's never going to be able to corrupt Gimli the way it can other beings. So why would it waste time with him?
And here's where I feel like it might get to Gimli, is because he does have some prejudices and insecurities.
Yeah.
That it might play on, like, and granted, him and Legolas are friends, but at least in the beginning, I know, the best of friends. So maybe it wouldn't actually happen. But at least in the beginning, he's like, I will be dead before I see the ring in the hands of an elf. What if it's not Legolas that gets their hands on the ring?
Yeah. Well, but also Gimli is it in the books and the films? In the films, he goes up and tries to, he's like, all right, well, let's destroy the ring. Let's do it. Bam. Like he doesn't even hesitate.
That's true.
Like he's not phased. He's not tempted. He's like, we're going to break this. And of course it destroys his axe in the film.
Right.
I can't remember if that's in the text as well.
Yeah.
But like he is not tempted from the beginning. He's just like, whatever, let's get rid of it. Makes sense to me. Like,
yeah.
And I think that shows the dwarven nature.
Fair.
Yeah.
Well, okay. But if he had to hold it, what would happen?
So, but he's not a normal dwarf. Like he's, I don't know. If
like, would he give it back?
I think he would. But he was like, what am I going to do with this? Like, I have no need for gold. And timing might matter too. Because I would say once he has his interaction with Galadriel in Lothlorien and he's seen the most beautiful thing, that could go both ways. That could make him more likely to be tempted because he now sees that there's this beautiful thing in the world he doesn't want to be destroyed.
Right.
Or he's been given the most precious thing he's ever wanted in his life, which are the 3 strands of her hair, and he doesn't need anything else. So why would he even need the ring?
I could see that. But then there's what Tolkien himself said about how nobody would have been able to toss the ring into the fire. So something would have kept him from doing that.
I think it's going to be his desire to see Galadriel one more time. If I had to pick something for Gimli.
Maybe he wants to save Middle-earth for Galadriel.
Maybe. That would be that'd be so bittersweet.
But yeah.
Maybe. But to Aragorn's point, I would also pick Gimli to go all the way to Mordor. Like, I think he can make it. I think he could be struggling, but like be in the presence of the ring longer than others. Like he's hardy.
I really wanted to put Gimli even further down, but this is where I'm like, there's just too many good members of the Fellowship that are so pure that I'm like, I gotta put Gimli somewhere in the list.
Yeah, that's fair. You got him lower down, so I accept it. I think
But yeah, he's a solid character and not very tempted.
No, he's great. Dwarves are great.
But I had some notes in here about it. He has insecurities about being tossed and something happening to his amazing beard. Not the beard.
Surface level. Surface level. Yeah.
Surface level,
Well, I mean, like another quote from the text, right? Like dwarves were more stubborn than humans and resisted the corruption more ferociously. So they are more resistant. But the stubbornness also could be like, there's no way this could tempt me. And maybe that's his downfall at the end, where like he's so stubborn that he's like, there's no way I'm absolutely going to hold out. There's no way this can hurt me. And he doesn't see the ring finally getting to him.
Yeah, I do almost want to switch Aragorn and Gimli in my list, but I'm not going to. I'm just going to stick with what I have.
So you had Aragorn after Gimli.
I have Aragorn after Gimli.
Tell me about
is next. He's number 7.
Yeah.
Because I know he's a man and a powerful one at that. So I know that that's some weakness to him. But I feel like he is so determined to be better than his ancestors that that fire in him would carry him pretty far. And because he was he had some opportunities to be tempted by the ring already and resisted. I do think his sense of duty and just of succeeding would carry him a long way, but not to the end.
Nobody's going all the way to the end, as we know, per the professor. But so I think this, as you said, this shows how we see the active level of the ring kind of altering our list.
Like if the ring is really focused on Aragorn and like putting all of its power towards corrupting him, then
maybe he's a little bit higher up the list. Yeah, which is where I landed. But no, I like your take. Like if it's not actively targeting him, he has a strength of will that is unheard of. Obviously, there's different levels of men. Faramir also is tempted by and resists the ring.
I see him making it a long way.
Yeah, I see him making it a long way. You're not wrong.
And in Sam's place, if he had to carry the ring for a little while, I don't see him giving it back.
Yeah, I think if he actually had to have the ring, that's where it gets his hook into. And maybe I know there's arguments about like, are hobbits more resistant to the ring potentially?
I've heard that.
Maybe. I mean, Bilbo had it for 60 years and still gave it up, which is pretty darn impressive. So with men being quote unquote weaker, now Aragorn is not your average man in all senses, right? So maybe he has the strength of will to give it up, but I don't think the ring would let go of him once it had him.
No, I don't see him giving it up. Once he had it, whether it's the ring trying to influence him or just when he feels that power in his hand, I just don't think he'd be able to resist it anymore.
He's a tough one. I mean, that's why this is all so tough. Like I want, in my heart of hearts, I want Aragorn to make it farther and be lower on my list. But again, if you're of the mind that the ring is going to be going for the power, I think he falls sooner. Yeah. Like, I would love for him to make it with Frodo to the end.
We're going to have to do a whole nother episode, I think, on whether the ring is actively...
How sentient is the ring?
Yes, exactly. Because there are a lot of lines in the movie that make it sound like the ring itself is sentient. Like it abandoned Gollum and it abandoned Isildur.
It wants to be found.
Yeah, all these things. I'm like, it does make it sound like the ring, has intentions.
Yeah.
So I'm not really sure where my feeling that it's just kind of... I don't know how much I really put stock in that, but there's probably more evidence that it actually is sentient than
I think it's sentient because it has a part of Sauron's spirit in it.
Right.
And that gives it power. We will have to do another discussion on this because I have a lot of thoughts on it. I have a lot of thoughts on J.K. Rowling and her Horcruxes based on this too, but that's fine. She totally came up with that idea on her own.
I might put Aragorn as succumbing sooner if I thought that the ring was really targeting people.
Yeah. Actively versus passively, right? It makes a difference.
Right, because Aragorn does have a lot of vulnerabilities there in terms of just, like all the reasons that you could say that he would resist are also kind of his vulnerabilities.
And I think his desire to get to his future without Arwen, I think that's his ultimate downfall if he has the ring, since that means so much to him.
Yeah, I mean, he might get some kind of vision.
Yeah. Of her fading away?
Yes. Yeah. He's like, no.
So we're down to our final 2.
Yeah.
Which we kind of agree on.
Sort of. Well, at least we agreed that these 2 should be last.
Yes.
And then I don't know. I think we're opposite on who
Yeah, I think we flipped them.
Yeah, because this is probably, in all my like researching, this is the two that nobody can decide on, but everybody puts them last.
I think a lot of people would put them last
because they made it last.
They made it
in the movies.
It's our heroes, our hero's journey.
So I have Sam as being number 8.
And then Frodo?
And then Frodo. Like it happens. Like Frodo still makes it last.
I flip that. And I have Frodo and I have Sam last because I will forever be Team Samwise Gamgee. And I know that there's some flaws in my logic, but
there's no right and wrong yet.
There's no right and wrong. So talk to me about why you have Sam and then Frodo.
One of the biggest arguments for putting Sam last is how he gave it up willingly. Like he carried it for a little while and gave it up willingly.
Yes.
My counter to that is that Frodo also multiple times tried to give it up. And he did let go of it in the Council of Elrond as well, having to put it up on the pedestal and be like, somebody else might be taking that. So he already like gave it away.
So I hear you on the Council of Elrond. I also think there's a magical protection thing going on with Rivendell that he felt in a place where maybe he could do that, where he couldn't in the wide world, potentially.
I could see that argument.
I will say, though, his offers don't translate into him actually giving up the ring.
True.
He's not physically handing it to someone. He's like, here, take it. And they're like,
Yeah.
Where Sam's like, here you go. And like physically gives it back to Frodo.
True.
Right?
In Sam's defense, he gave it up in Mordor.
Yeah. With the power of the ring the strongest, the coal of Sauron the strongest.
That's definitely
Frodo did it in
Sam.
Rivendell and Lothlorien, which are lovely, safe spaces.
Yeah, and Frodo was feeling it a lot by the end in terms of like...
He was.
Getting pretty feisty if he even thought Sam was
feisty there. And like, to your point, we also don't see Sam. Sam does not carry the ring.
Right, what would Sam
like
do?
A blip of a second, and Frodo has it for almost a year.
I've always felt that Frodo is a character. He sees a lot. Like he's a little bit more, I don't know if intuitive is the right word, but I think Frodo sees a lot more about people's motivations, and Sam is a little bit more simple in his thinking. He's not able to see Gollum from Frodo's perspective.
He doesn't have the understanding because he hasn't yet experienced the burden of the ring. He also ultimately, I don't know, he does see things a little bit more black and white, but also Sam's not wrong about Gollum in the end. He's like, he's going to betray us. And what does Gollum do? He betrays them. Sam called it.
That's fair.
Was he very diplomatic about it? No.
Frodo, I'll say, in the books, he takes on burdens alone through the entire book when they haven't even left the Shire yet. And Frodo is not telling his friends anything about his burden, that he's already taking the ring out of the Shire and he's trying to keep it a secret. And they pretty much have to be like, no, we know what's going on. But I just get this feeling that he's been burden carrier naturally.
But I also think that's to his detriment. I think he doesn't understand that he can succeed with the help of his friends. And by not seeing that, he's almost a little stubborn.
True.
That he's like, I'm going to take this alone. I'm going to deal with this alone. And it's like, you could, but you know what would be better?
You could accept some help.
You should accept some help, right? Like he does. I mean, he has the fellowship. Like he is not able to do this by himself. He's not able to get to Mount Doom alone. Sam has to carry him.
Fair.
So I only push back a little bit because like Frodo is like, let's be very clear. Frodo is incredible and he went through so much. And I mean, his resistance is remarkable for what he went through and how long he carries the ring under ridiculous conditions and the increasing burden and psychological torture. And he makes it all the way to Mount Doom, caveats him, carries him up that last little bit. And I don't think he would have made it without Sam.
No.
But like, I don't want to like downplay what Frodo was able to accomplish. My data point is Frodo ultimately fails. And I know Tolkien says everybody eventually would, but Sam is in Mordor. He has taken the ring. He has handed the ring back. He is tempted by the ring.
He hasn't carried it as long as Frodo.
No, he hasn't carried it as long as Frodo, but he also carried it in the worst place to carry it. So like to me, it's almost a speed run of part of it. Like, yeah, he didn't have it through the Shire and the earlier journey. And
he does comment though, something along the lines of, wow, this is heavy. How has Frodo been carrying this?
Yeah, he gets more of a sense of like, oh, this is a lot worse than I thought it was. But he also like, he's tempted by the ring and it gives him this grand vision. Actually, I'm going to read the quote because I really like this quote. And it says, all right, already the ring tempted him, Sam, gnawing at his will and reason. Wild fantasies arose in his mind and he saw Samwise the Strong, hero of the age, striding with a flaming sword across the darkened land. And then all the clouds rolled away, and the white sun shone, And at his command, the Vale of Gorgoroth became a garden of flowers and trees and brought forth fruit. In that hour of trial, it was the love of his master that helped him most to hold firm, but also, deep down in him, lived still, unconquered, his plain hobbit sense.
Mm-hmm.
He knew that in the core of his heart, he was not large enough to bear such a burden, even if such visions were not a mere cheat to betray him. And he's just like, I don't need a garden this big. I'm good. And then it says Sam shook himself as if casting off a spell, and then he laughed.
Mm-hmm.
And like his laughter too is the thing that shines through for me, because you have all these serious temptation moments with like Aragorn and others, and it's very, very serious. Sam literally like shakes it off and
That's
laughs.
ridiculous.
And like it shows such a remarkable bit of spirit that I was like,
that's
he
fair.
gets a call out for that.
Absolutely, he does. But I do push back in that it doesn't go into detail. Tolkien doesn't go into detail about what Frodo is being tempted by this whole time.
True. We don't ever know, do we?
We don't. Yeah.
It's a really interesting point.
But he is, like, if that's what Sam gets for the period of time that he holds the ring, like Frodo's been doing that this whole time. And
Every
obviously
day.
struggling. We know he's struggling, but we don't know what he's being shown. So I wonder, if Sam... Now, this is assuming Sam is the ring bearer, but would he have made it as far?
Will we ever know?
We won't. But
no, I think that's a really good point. And I think the time thing is a really good argument, because with Frodo, you're right. Frodo is making the choice every day to push on until literally the very last day with the ring for 11 months. That's a lot of psychological torture and pushing back on the ring. And I think I'd never really thought about the fact that we don't ever get to see inside Frodo's head in terms of what the ring is tempting him with. It's a very interesting choice by Tolkien.
Yeah.
And now I really want to know, what was it tempting him with? Was it to save his family? Was it to make the world, what's his motivation there?
I bet Galadriel knows.
Yeah, but she's not going to tell us.
No. And Frodo didn't tell us, because I reread this part of the book with Galadriel's mirror. Or not the mirror, when she's talking to everybody.
The fellowship.
Looking into their souls and I guess asking them what they would, offering them whatever they desire. And she talked to Frodo, and he denies telling anybody what she asked him.
I want to know.
So we don't know. But Sam, you mentioned Frodo's stubbornness, and I'm trying to remember now the context of it. But Sam is also incredibly stubborn.
Yeah.
And that can help him in terms of just nope, I'm not taking that ring. But I do wonder if he had to carry the ring for any longer time, if whether it's his stubbornness or he also had a tendency to blab. And
who doesn't love a good guy?
I know.
No, but he also is very...
He kind of steps on his own tongue. He's like, oh, dang it, Sam.
But he's so normal. Look, it's a toss-up ultimately with these two. And I think
Sam made it to the end.
Sam also made it to the end. Sam carried Frodo and the ring up Mount Doom, right? For me, it was two things. It was Sam's laughter. Of all the little bits and snippets we have of people resisting the ring, that's the only time that something of that emotion comes through with somebody resisting it. And I found that very unique.
Yeah, that's fair.
But also, going back to my ultimate thesis, which is the ring having choice and targeting people, I think between Frodo and Sam, ring is going to go for Frodo. And that's ultimately why I have them in the order I do, right?
Oh, I see what you're saying.
It's Frodo. It's been around Frodo. It's got its teeth into him. It understands him. I don't know what it's tempting him with, but I think Frodo being a little bit more with it and more aware and more of that burden and I have to save my friends gives the ring just a little bit more of an edge. It wouldn't quite know what to go with Sam. I think it could figure out eventually what it would hook Sam with, but it's almost because it already knows Frodo, it's going to go for Frodo over Sam. And which is a silly thing, but
I see what you're saying about if there's more of a hook with Frodo than with Sam, then the ring would choose Frodo first.
Yes.
Maybe at the Council of Elrond, they should have chosen Sam over choosing Frodo.
That would be a radical choice. I think it's interesting too, because nobody ever thinks of Sam, but maybe his stubbornness
would get him all the way there.
Simpleness and lack of his humility, that maybe it would have. Who knows? We would have a very different story potentially.
So many thoughts are going through my head right now. Well, I was going to say that we would need a whole nother couple movies to actually see Sam succumb to the ring.
Yeah.
Because he made it all the way to Mount Doom, carrying and helping Frodo. Never succumbing to the ring.
Very close to the ring for a very long
and holding
time.
it. And still didn't succumb.
Yeah.
So, I mean, at the very least, they're a tie, but
he'll make it a couple hundred years like Gollum. Who knows?
And I could see why you put Sam last, because he did not succumb.
Well, and I'm unapologetically a Sam girl, so like there's a little bit of bias coming through for sure.
Yeah, I think there's probably bias for me too, because I think I identify with Frodo.
Why do you carry these burdens? Let me carry you instead. Actually, I probably could. Anyway.
Piggyback ride.
Oh, man. It's such a great, like, even now after we've discussed it, I'm questioning the order of where I put people and what would influence and where I'm at.
So I have an alternate little list too.
What's your alternate? Is this the B-sides?
The B-sides. So I have a couple categories. Category 1 is they don't even have to hold the ring to succumb. And that's Boromir.
That was so quick. You would say maybe Pippin too? I actually think Gandalf could fall on that list too, though. I think the power of it reaching out to him potentially could still turn him.
Maybe. I personally feel like anybody else would have to touch it before they actually succumb.
Men are weak.
But I do have those who would succumb if they had to hold it. I do have Gandalf and Pippin and Aragorn.
You know, technically Saruman succumbed, even though he was nowhere. Saruman. I think he falls in the ring, like wouldn't have to touch it and would still fall.
If you're doing outside of the fellowship, then Saruman fell the earliest, so actually. Easily. But yeah, then everybody else pretty much wouldn't be able to cast it away except for Sam.
Yeah. Sam's the best. Anyway. All love to Frodo. Sam's the best.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, okay. Has our discussion, I have a ton of thoughts, but has our discussion changed your thoughts on anything like that you had going into this?
Not really. Besides, I'm still questioning whether I'd put Frodo or Sam actually last.
That's about.
It's just hard to say because Sam wasn't the ring bearer.
Yeah, we don't have the evidence.
Like, we can all point to how Frodo didn't let it go in the end. But if we put anybody else, so we could think of it another way, in that if we chose anybody else as a ring bearer, so like we have the same members of the fellowship, but a different person was the ring bearer. Like obviously Boromir would have been.
The only other person I would pick is Sam, let's be real.
I mean, yeah, so like
maybe Gimli, maybe.
Possibly. I still would probably pick Sam. But then if I try to put Sam in some of the situations that Frodo was in, I'm not sure if he would have made it as far. And that's kind of why I let Frodo be the one that actually made it all the way and was the best. Like, that's why he's number 9 to me, because there are some, I don't know. Maybe.
I don't think he would have had the same compassion towards Gollum. Or, actually, I take that back. He would have.
Because he was the ring bearer?
Because he would have finally experienced, like he would have gone through what Frodo had gone through and would have understood a little bit more. Because part of the reason he's so harsh towards Gollum is he just doesn't, he sees somebody that could be a threat to his master, right? Like that's what he's operating off of. And Frodo's suffering. He knows all these things are going on and he knows that this thing is evil. Put him in Frodo's shoes, having dealt with the ring and dealing with all that for months on end, I think he would have had a different take on Gollum, having actually experienced it. But then would Frodo be the one being like, this is Gollum who is evil and we need to get rid of, right? Like maybe.
Yeah. Well, I will say that of the two of them, I do think that Frodo is the better ring bearer and Sam is the better helper. Because let's say, even if Sam would also have been a good ring bearer, I don't think Frodo would have been as good of a helper.
Frodo's not carrying Sam up the hill. I'll tell you that right now. So, no offense. No offense. But he's very much landed gentry and Sam works in the garden all day. And anyway.
he's not the one going to carry Sam up the chair.
Yeah, exactly. So, there's so many, there are so many different tangents we could go off on this one. Like it raises so many questions, but I think.
Well, first thought is that they picked an overall very good fellowship.
They did all right.
That I really do think so many of them could have made it with Frodo a long way. I would love to see adaptations of What Ifs.
What Ifs of who else? Yeah, I think you can't win them all. You're going to have the occasional Boromir in the group project, but yes, I think
there's got to be one.
I think Tolkien really makes a good point about desire for power is itself corruption. Like if you've got that desire for power in any kind of way, unchecked or not, that is a bad thing. Which is why.
Oh, yes, that reminds me. Why I put Aragorn actually further down the list is because he did not want the power.
Are we talking book Aragorn
Well, that's
or
a good
movie
point.
Aragorn?
Because at least movie Aragorn was like, I never wanted that power.
Correct. Book Aragorn rolls in with his sword being like, I'm Aragorn. I'm your future king.
Okay, fair.
So I would say book Aragorn is more likely to be tempted than...
Fair.
Yeah, like I really like what they did in the movies and the humility and the not wanting it and not wanting to take it on. Book Aragorn is different.
That's fair. Yeah. Which I could say the same about Legolas too.
Yeah.
Legolas was a lot more kind of melancholy, kind of showed more
Moody.
reasons. Yeah, more moody.
Moody elf friends in the book.
But in the movie, I'm like, he's a chill guy. Like
he's got like 16 lines across all three films.
Also fair.
Or 20 something. It's not many. Goodness.
That was fun.
I love this discussion. It was so much fun. I think I have a couple questions for our listeners. Like I would be curious, fellowship aside, who in your own life do you think would resist the ring the longest?
Ooh.
Right?
Yeah.
And then on the flip side of that, like, where would you rank if you were in the fellowship?
Oh, should I answer that?
Yeah, I mean, if you have thoughts on it, I want to hear.
Okay, I might need a second. Let's see.
Take a couple.
How long would I last? I mean, obviously, we all like to think
on a scale of Boromir to Frodo or Sam. Where are you?
Well, I'd like to think I'd last a long time.
You would like to.
I
Is
would
the
like
ring going to
to.
use it against you?
And I've never been one to go after power. Like I've always been kind of the Sam in situations where I love being the doer and the
hands in the earth, literally.
Yeah, hands in the earth. Yeah, I'm a gardener, but I like being number 2 and not number 1. So that would put me lower down the list, but I can't say that I have no vulnerabilities to exploit.
Oh, I'd be pretty early on. My sense of justice is so strong.
Yeah.
Like to the point where like it's like my judgment and my justice are like off the charts at times. So I feel like I'm going to be, not to compare myself to Gandalf, but I feel like I'm in the category of like, I would really, really want to use it to do good and it would ruin me through that.
Well, that would be my probably biggest vulnerability too, is if I felt like all this stuff is going on and I want to help it.
Waves hands at the world. Yeah,
Right.
Exactly. Yeah,
absolutely.
Well,
maybe I'd be a 6 or a 7 of the fellowship.
You're a 10. Just kidding. Wait, is that the upper end or the lower end? Hold on, which way are we going?
No, that's the bottom.
Okay, good.
That's the bottom.
Yeah, you're beneath.
Beyond even Frodo.
You're a 10. Yeah, well, like, again, give me your thoughts, because I want to know, like, not only, like, what you think the order they would fall in, but, like, where would you be in this list in terms of everything? So
I love it.
Oh, it's a good thought experiment. Thank you. It's a great thought experiment. Think through it. Think about your morals. Don't be a Boromir. He's a good guy, but don't be a Boromir.
Don't be a Boromir.
Well, I think that brings us to our call to adventure. Woohoo! So if you enjoyed wandering with us today, please subscribe to Beyond the Brandywine on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
You can also find us on YouTube at Beyond the Brandywine. We'll be putting up visual tangents to accompany some of the podcasts, as well as recordings of the podcasts themselves.
And for even more Middle-earth musings, follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Beyond the Brandywine.
Plus, find all of our links and more at beyondthebrandywine.com.
We would love to hear what you think would be the order of the Fellowship to fall to the ring. So would Sam or Frodo have been more successful? Is Boromir always going to be the first, or did we miss something? Who would be a better ring bearer?
Yeah.
Either way, reach out to us on socials or email us at hello@beyondthebrandywine.com.
What was that again?
hello@beyondthebrandywine.com.
All right. So until next time, eat your daily serving of humble pie and just say no to shiny rings.
And remember, don't be afraid to wander beyond the Brandywine. Everybody in the ring getting tipsy. Everybody with the ring getting tipsy. I was like trying to think how I would say that.
I'm trying to think of another word besides tipsy.
Yeah.
Like
I don't know what would rhyme with that.
Yeah.
Everybody with the ring
getting something. Can you think? I was thinking of Merry and Pippin on the table doing their everybody getting
the pub. It's the pub remix.
Yeah.
Baby.